So it's hard to believe, but I did actually find the time to write a little census poem, so here it goes.
Great. Yes, please.
COVID,
Can I waive
ready?
my census in
It's
time?
really bad, but here we go. COVID has us all feeling frustration. What a great time to ensure our county's enumeration. Take a minute or two to complete your census form, perfect to do while social distancing is the norm. Just go to census.gov and complete all the questions so Arlington can get our full representation. Okay, so
We'll send it to the poet laureate.
as someone would say, don't quit your day job, but maybe.
It's wonderful, but I think we should get it out. It's great. Thank you.
But on a more serious note, Elizabeth Hardy, as you all know, has been working really diligently to make sure that we keep our eye on the ball for this. I have some slides I wanted to go through. Some of these will be very familiar to you. As Mr. Dorsey said, invitations went to all households. I received 2 invitations at my house. So I've gone on and completed the form, and you can see here the different ways of filling out the form. Let's go to the next slide. And this is actually, I'm really surprised by this and really proud. We are, with the exception, I think, of Fairfax City and Falls Church, doing really well in the region, 27.4% response rate. And that, we went back and looked at 2010 around the same time, and we're doing better than we were doing in 2010. Now, I think part of that may be because people are home, but they have not really, I don't think there's really been a big focus on this. So once again, that's really good for where we are at this time in the process. Let's see, let's go on to the next slide. April 1st is Census Day, and we're still going to encourage people to take a break out of their day and spend some time completing the form if they haven't done it then. Now, we had a series of pop-ups we had planned around the county. Obviously, we have canceled those. We'll see, maybe we'll bring them back later. A little bit on the timeline, as Mr. Dorsey mentioned, there have been some, I characterize them as slightly, at this point, modest extensions on the schedule. And you can see that the self-response deadline and the assistance and follow-up have been extended about 2 weeks. And so that will provide a little extra flexibility. If we go on to the next slide, you can see essentially some other deadlines have been extended. The biggest one is the 1-month extension that you see for those who are homeless, and also service-based enumeration, which include places that, at least right now, soup kitchens and shelters may not actually be fully occupied. So we'll see what happens with that. Next slide, we're still on the timeline to deliver the apportionment information by the end of the year, and that all results in the redistricting that happens in April of next calendar year. So as I mentioned, next slide, you can see all our pop-ups have been canceled. We have included some additional promotional pieces about the census with some of the food distribution that's been going on. We have about several hundred tote bags that have been given to AFAC as part of the food distribution. So some of the food is going out in Census 2020 tote bags as a way to emphasize that. And we're continuing to run our articles, communications, working with our partners and volunteers. And so you'll see here, go to the next slide, you can see some of the efforts we have to try to emphasize how people should really make sure that they are filling out the census. You'll see a lot of this on social media. And if you go on to the next slide, again, just emphasizing where you can go to complete the census and encourage everybody to do it. And I'd like to say that I think Mr. Dorsey set a great example. When parents are home with their kids, it's an excellent opportunity for you to engage in a little bit of a civics lesson. So that concludes my update on the census.
Thank you.
Just want to note that even if your kids are too young for a civics lesson, they still count. Count your babies, people.
Oh, that's right.
They absolutely do. I still count.
Can I have a question?
Is it? I bet it is.
In the last census, under 5, one of our most undercounted populations.
Wow.
People forget that their kids count.
Yeah. No, we need, So I have my own here. I'm so pleased with myself. I'm going to fill it out. I'm going to tweet about it. I'm very excited.
I noticed that it's unopened, Madam Chair.
It's what?
Oh, it is open. Okay, all right. Okay,
It's
just
actually,
making sure.
no, it's all set to go. I'm ready. I'll talk about getting your babies too. All right.
So, Madam Chair, if I could, so with school children at home for the end of the school year, I know APS is a valued partner in this work. Mr. Schwartz, do you know if they're planning on integrating census communication with the daily communication that students get from teachers and the weekly communications that come from PTAs and school administration?
So what I do know is that on the educational resources for families page that schools has, there's a link to the Statistics in Schools website. I think a lot of the programming related to statistics in schools was done before APS shut down. They were scheduled for, I think, the first week of this month. But parents can go to the online resources and find I think, a pretty, useful and thorough set of statistical, when I say statistics, it makes it sound so dry, but it's
Yeah.
actually a little bit more interesting than that. So that's all online as a resource for parents.
Maybe call it fun with numbers.
Something, fun with numbers, yes.
I don't know, something like that.